Live struggle legacy. It's a whole movement.
Hey everybody, it's your boy MP, Live Struggle Legacy. So for those who don't know, I'm MP, Michael Paul, recording artist and curator of Live Struggle Legacy. So today I'm going to introduce you to the Live Struggle Legacy movement and tell you just a little bit about myself. But before I do, I got to give a major shout out to Benton Media Lounge for providing this incredible creative space and the platform for me to be able to use my voice and share our story. So what is Live Struggle Legacy? Well, before we get into Live Struggle Legacy, I want to pose a question. How many of you know somebody that you care about who is currently locked up or has been locked up, incarcerated in any way, shape, or form? How many of you? If I was to make a guess, I'd say if you're watching this podcast, probably every single one of you. Now I'm going to ask you another question. How would you feel if that person who you care about, who is incarcerated, never came home? How would that make you feel? So, before I get into Live Struggle, I'm going to talk about me just a little bit. I've been incarcerated. I served nearly a decade in federal prison across 11 different institutions. And throughout my time all over the place, all over the country, I met a lot of people. I met some really good people, some incredible people, some not so good people, as you can imagine. But out of all those people, there's one person that stands out above all. And that's Timothy Big Baby Lewis. So, Tim and I first met in Pinellas County Jail. We had both just been indicted on federal charges. And you're sitting in the county, you don't really know what's going on. Now, this isn't just a prison podcast, just so you know that. But this is where Live Struggle begins. Because Tim made an impression on a lot of people, including myself, obviously. But to give you an idea of how Tim and I met, well, when you're in jail, you go to a lot of different places, especially if you're federal. And we started in Pinellas County. We ended up in Hillsborough County, Hernando County, Citrus County, every single one of these places. And in the beginning, you're strangers and you're fed, so you're really not trying to talk much about your case. A lot of people are in there, well, because somebody brought them in there. So it's not wise to meet new friends, so to speak, right? It's not really the place to make friends. But when you keep seeing the same person over and over again, and you start to do the vibe check, okay, this person's all right. So me, myself, I'm from St. Petersburg, the bird, St. Pete. And Big Baby, he's from Wick City, Clearwater. So, you know, you start to realize, okay, yeah, dudes from right outside the city. Okay, you know this person. Oh, I know that person. Oh, you did music. Oh, I did music. So now we're starting to find some common ground. And I'll never forget, it wasn't until we hit Hernando County where we had to sit in a tiny little holding cell with like 8 other people all day long. And when I tell you all day long, I mean we pulled up probably 4 o'clock in the morning. We didn't go into our actual pod where they house you temporarily until like 9 o'clock at night. You're talking about all day long, 14, 15 hours long. You're sitting in there. So you can get to know somebody in that short period of time. So in this period of time, I got to know Big Baby. Big Baby did music. I did music. And then, you know, we end up in different units, different pods. And then I see him in Citrus County. So now we're in the same pod. And Big Baby was cutting hair. He used to cut my hair in there. And, you know, we start chopping it up, freestyling, talking, just playing cards, whatever it is, eating, what you do when you're confined 24 hours a day and can't leave the unit. Well, the way prison works is you go to jail first, you await your sentencing, then you get sentenced and you get designated. You don't know where you're going. You don't know how long you're going for. Well, Citrus County is what at the time was a federal holdover. So they house you until they sentence you. And so we ended up getting split up. You don't know if you're ever going to see this person again, right? You make friends for the time being, and then you go about your life. You're doing your time trying to get back to your family. Well, it just so happened that Tim and I got designated to the same place, Williamsburg, South Carolina. So now we're in a medium-high federal correctional institution, the feds. So in Williamsburg, South Carolina. So, when you get to a new spot, you start thinking all these things. If you've never been to prison, like, okay, am I going to have to stab somebody? You start thinking all the worst case scenarios. And then, there's all the politics involved. And I myself, if you know me, I don't play politics. So I'm not trying to get all into the politics of prison, but there's a lot. And if I were to simplify that, you could think of it like the high school cafeteria. You have your little groups. You have the nerds over here. You have like this culture over here. You have the preppy kids over here. And everybody kind of gravitates to their like kind, right? Well, in prison, it's like that, but it's like vice lords over here, GDs over here, Pisces over here, Serranos over here, different groups, right? But in Fed, you gravitate towards your state. And so we're way out there in South Carolina, and it just so happened that Florida had a heavy presence in South Carolina. So it wasn't long before you start running into homeboys, and you're like, damn, I'm way out here in South Carolina, and there's, the one homie from the Berg, and the other homie from Tampa, and, the other homie from Wick City, oh, there's Big Baby, oh, it's good, so you start to build a bond with these people. You're away from your home, you're away from your family, you're seeking familiarity, right? So I got real close with Big Baby. We would cook on each other's birthdays. We'd be in the band room, freestyling or whatever. But at the time, getting a band slot in the band room was next to impossible. And that's the common ground that had Timothy and myself, where we found common ground and bonded over music. Because here we are locked up, and you kind of crave that familiarity, right? So to speed up this process, we were in that spot for a while. We got real close. There's other homies in there from St. Pete, Tampa, Clearwater, and here we are way out there in South Carolina. Well, I ended up getting shipped to another spot, and I didn't see Big Baby. So I was at the other spot for like 2 years, and then I got a disciplinary for some bullshit, which we're not going to get into on this episode, but they ended up putting me on a bus, sending me to Atlanta. I'm going through the whole bullshit all over again. Atlanta USP, then on an airplane, Con Air, flew all the way into Oklahoma, which is crazy because they literally have, you fly the plane right in, and you walk right out of the plane and into the jail. And then from there, you got to ride a bus from Oklahoma. And at the time, remember, they don't tell you where you're going. They shackled me, put me on a bus, and I took a bus ride shackled to another man all the way from Oklahoma to Yazoo City, Mississippi. So, again, you don't know what to expect. You're going to another spot, and this is a disciplinary spot. Supposedly it's wild. I don't know what to expect, but all I know is the further you go out west, the more politics. So, again, you're preparing like, okay, what is this about? What am I about to get myself into, right? Survival mode. And the craziest thing, so here I am way out in Mississippi. I don't know a single person there that I know of. And as soon as you hit the cafeteria, remember, you hit the cafeteria, that's how you see who you are. Everybody knows who you are from where you sit in that cafeteria, right? So the first thing I see is my partner from Largo that was in Williamsburg with us as well. His name's Man. Shout out to Man. So Man comes around the corner. He's like, yo, Mike, yo. And I'm like, oh, what's good? And so it's a familiar face. It's a good feeling. But the best thing he could have said to me in that moment, he said, Mike, Big Baby's here, and he's looking for you. I'm like, what? And as soon as he said that, right around the corner, Big Baby comes around the corner. Big Baby's a big dude, long wicks, long dreads, mouth full of gold. And as soon as I saw him, all I could see was his smiling face and all his gold shining. And Mike gave me a big hug. He said, the first thing he said to me, I got a band room, and I need you. Now, being through all the bullshit, I went through all the transit and everything was like, I couldn't tell you that's the best thing anybody could have said to me in that moment, short of you're going home, right? Because in prison, you're away from your family. You don't have very much, right? You got your exercise, you got your books, you got your commissary, right? And you might be lucky to have some homies in there. But the one thing that we did have was the band room. And the way the band room would work is you got to find, this is before the days of MP3s. They have MP3s in there now, but this is before the days of MP3s. You had to get somebody to play bass, somebody to play drums, somebody to play guitar. You'll be lucky to find all three. You might settle for somebody for bass and guitar or whatever, right? So you got to have, and you got to find somebody who can work the soundboard. But most importantly, you have to get the slot. And that's the hardest thing to do, because you got dudes that have been down 10 years on a wait list for 3 years to get a band slot. So how Big Baby got the band slot, I don't know. It didn't matter. He had a band slot and he needed me. So the way that the movement works in prison, you're locked in wherever you're going, and it's controlled movement. It's kind of like the bell at school. The bell rings, you got 2 minutes to get to class. Well, that's how it is up the road. You got controlled movement. They call rec move. You go to the rec yard, you got 5 minutes to get there, and once you get there, you're locked in. So I think it was like every Monday and eventually every Friday, we caught that rec move straight to that band room. Everybody's got their pen and their pad, and we got the musicians, and we're coming up with hooks, and some people are like, oh yeah, can you play this hook, can you play this beat like in the style of whoever, right? So eventually they would do holiday shows where we would get to perform our songs on the rec yard. And this is all one take. This is not no rapping over your own lyrics. You got a literal guitar player, a drummer, and a microphone. So if you fuck up, that's it, right? And it may seem like nothing, but you're in front of 700 convicts. I think there were 1,800 people in that spot. 700 people are going to be on the rec yard on holidays watching. They got nothing else to do, right? So you got a crowd in there, a crowd full of convicts. It's a tough crowd, to say the least. So where I really connected with Tim, and I'm going to pause on the prison shit, and I'm going to take you back to my days with music. Some of you might remember me from Potent Entertainment, right? Way back, 06, 07, I was doing shows in St. Pete, Tampa area, and when I first started doing shows, I got one of the bigger shows I did. I got Blood Raw and had him come down to Tampa. We had Manila on 7th Ave, and we did a car show concert. And we kept it true to the bird. We called it Chunky Sunday. For those of you who grew up in St. Pete, Tampa Bay, you remember Chunky Sunday. So we did the Chunky Sunday car show concert. And I had Blood Raw. And then all my OGs were telling me like, yo, Mike, man, I know you're trying to push your music and you want to show love, but like the way you need to handle this is you need to charge people to open up for the show. $500 a head. That way you put some money back in your pocket. And I know that's what people do, and I'm not knocking anybody who did that, but I'm telling my big homies like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to do it different. I hand selected people that had a buzz in different areas, Tampa, Clearwater, St. Pete, Bradenton. And I said, yo, do you want to open up for Blood Raw? At the time, he was one of the #1 underground artists in Florida. Matter of fact, he wasn't even underground. He was USDA. He was G's. It was a pretty big show. He was a big act at the time. So of course people wanted to perform in front of him, right? So I said, listen, man, I'm not charging nothing. All I want you to do is promote the show. Promote it on your, back then it was MySpace. Promote it on your MySpace. I give you the flyers, just promote it. You put a guest list together, and I showed love. And everybody's like, man, you're crazy. I don't know what you're thinking. Don't do that. Don't do that. Well, a lot of people told me don't be from St. Pete going and trying to throw a car show at Manila, right? You don't know what you're doing. Everybody told me that. Well, let me tell you something, man. The people showed up. I may not have made a bunch of money, but I guarantee you, if you're around that time, you remember the Blood Raw show at Manila with the car show. I mean, it was lit. It was lit. They showed up and they showed out, and everybody showed love, right? So that being said, in my mind, it was a success. Well, it also got a lot of attention from all the wrong people. I eventually caught an indictment. I went fed, which brings you back to Big Baby. And now I'm going to bridge that gap, y'all. Because why did I really fuck with Big Baby? Because in all the years that I've been doing music, I never met anybody that had the same vision. Especially with hip-hop music. Everything is look at me, I'm this, I'm that. And I'm not knocking that. You know what I mean? You might be like that. But the way I see it, there's power in numbers, especially in this Tampa Bay area. You know, this is before the days of Raw Wave. Like St. Pete wasn't fully on. So my theory was, well, if we all work together and use each other's fan base and build upon that, we got a better chance of making our mark and building together. Unity, right? Within the music scene. And so here we are in Fed, and you know, I know it may seem a little different, but the concept, the vision, the energy is the same. When you have these band rooms, these people covet it. Like, people covet things in prison. They covet weird shit like toilet paper and cleaning chemicals, and everything's coveted. Mine, me, right? And I get it, it's survival. They covet band rooms. Like, I'm just doing my music and nobody go in the door and like stay the hell out. You know, that's how people handle it. Not Big Baby. Big Baby is like, yo, you want a chance in the band room? Catch the wreck move. It don't matter if you're from Florida. It don't matter if you're from Louisiana, Carolina, Cali, New York, Milwaukee. And I'm saying that because I remember a person from each one of those states all over the place. You were welcome in the band room. All you had to do is make that wreck move. You know, it didn't even matter if you were, you know, doing reggaeton. It didn't have to be hip hop. We had people in there doing poetry, right? Just show up and we'll put this show together. And so he would commission an artist, kind of like we commission graphic designers out here in the free world, but in there everything is handwritten. He would commission an artist to do a handwritten flyer. And on the flyer, it would say, live struggle. And it would have like, I remember he had like a dread, smoking a blunt, with like palm trees, you know, keeping it Florida. We're way out there in Mississippi, but you know we got to keep it Florida. We're showing love to everybody, but we got to keep it Florida. So that was the flyer. And every holiday, we would throw these incredible shows. I mean, unbelievable shows. You wouldn't believe the shows we were putting on this rec yard in Yazoo City, Mississippi. You got people out there drinking their clear, that's that homemade liquor, smoking their spice joints like they're in the free world, out there rocking to our shit on the compound in Yazoo City, Mississippi, in the middle of fucking nowhere, right? Making the best out of a bad situation, supporting one another, turning something negative into something positive, right? I mean, rival gangs out there, it didn't even matter. You're having a good time. It's about the music. The music brings people together. And Big Baby understood that. And he used that power, that cohesive energy, right? So we had this plan. Okay, man, we need to take this live struggle shit to the streets. We're getting closer and closer. We were bidding there for like 2 years, doing shows together for like 2 years. So you can imagine how close we got. And the songs that we put out. We would make like whole mixtapes and produce them live. So, you know, perform them live. So we're like, man, we got to do this shit in the streets. We got to turn this into studio mixtapes and studio albums. You know, we need to make this whole movement thing in the streets. And he's right next door. He's Clearwater. I'm St. Pete. Like, we're both going home soon. So, and this is at the tail end of, you know, a damn near 10-year stretch. So, and out of that 10 years, I was with Big Baby for at least 4 of them in the same spot, right? 5 different spots. So things happen for a reason, but I ended up getting transferred to another spot. And before I did, I got Big Baby's info. He gave me his mom, Ms. Jocelyn's number. Shout out Ms. Jocelyn, I love you. So, but before we left, I got to touch on this. Before I left, Big Baby stayed there for the time being. Big Baby was a big dude. And he was like, man, I'm trying to get this stomach down before I hit the turf. And I was a trainer. I was a trainer when I hit the turf, when I came home, and I was a trainer in there. So he was like, yo, help me, you know, let's come up with some shit. Meet me on the yard. So, okay, we're out there training, and we're out there with the medicine ball. And, you know, I was trying to put him through a heavy leg workout. And he's like, listen, I got to be careful for my knee. I was like, you're good? He's like, yeah, man, you know, I've been going to sick call, but all they tell me to do is drink water, go to commissary. So let me touch on what that means for a second. When you go to prison and you're sick, you got to go to sick call. That means you have to catch that move, that 5-minute move at 6 o'clock in the morning. That's when sick call is. And then they lock you in there. And this is a tiny ass little stinking ass place full of sick people. And you're locked in there all day until they can see you. All day long. And then when they do see you, you know what they tell you? Unless your fucking arm is hanging off, unless you could show that like you're literally dying, they tell you to drink water, go to commissary. Well, why commissary? Because they won't give you a fucking ibuprofen. You gotta go to the commissary and you have to buy an ibuprofen, right? And you're making 12 cents an hour in that motherfucker. You're right, maybe 30 cents an hour if you're balling, right? But a ibuprofen back then was like 75 cents. Now it's probably like $1.50 or some shit or more. With inflation. But they wouldn't even give bro an ibuprofen. And so it's such a pain in the ass. If you want medical attention, you got to go hit the library that is infested with the chomos. That's the child molesters. They like take over the libraries. And you got to know some legal shit. You got to put paperwork on people. And who wants to go through all that? Spend all day around a bunch of child molesters looking at case law and trying to just to get medical treatment. So he's like, man, I'm about to go to the turf. I'm about to, get my halfway house date. I was like, man, I'll handle this shit when I get to the crib. So he put it on the back burner. Okay, fast forward. They sent me to a camp from the zoo, from Yazoo City. They sent me to the camp. I got Big Baby's info. I was at the camp for damn near a year, and then I ended up going home. But I'm pretty sure I was still at the halfway house in Tampa. And I don't remember who it was, but somebody was like, yo, did you hear about Big Baby? And I'm like, what you mean? Is he home? No, man, Big Baby died. What? Big Baby died? No, I just saw him. Man, Big Baby's dead, man. My bro, that I was in at least 5 different institutions with, performing, eating together, cooking together, looking out for each other in strange places around strange people. He's gone. And all I could think about was his mom. And I'm looking at her phone number, dreading to call her. But I did. And I'm so glad I did. Because Big Baby didn't make it. And so, first of all, let me tell you what happened. The leg pain. His last spot where he transferred from Yazoo, Mississippi, they sent him to Miami FDC. Now, he got his halfway house date. He only had like maybe a couple months left on a 10-year bid. He was working the compound, and they make you push those Flintstone mowers where it's man-powered. Your power pushes the mower. Not an easy thing to do in the summer. Well, in the middle of summer, he's pushing the mower on Miami FDC, and they said that he sat down and he collapsed and he died. He had an aneurysm in his leg. That was the leg pain. They wouldn't give him an MRI. They told him to drink water and go to commissary. The prison system failed him. So, the aneurysm ruptured. The poison blood went to his heart. And it killed him instantly in prison with less than a month left. So clearly I'm fucked up about this. And I ended up making it out of the halfway house just in time to meet Ms. Jocelyn. Shout out to Ms. Jocelyn and Nikhil. I love y'all. And I met all the Big Baby's families, his kids, everybody. And, I shared some stories about what an incredible human he was to me and to everybody that I knew that knew him. And I was fucked up about it. But before I got home from the halfway house and went to meet Ms. Jocelyn, Tim's mom, I was catching 8 city buses a day, okay? I went from balling in these streets, driving Lexus's big rims, and to catching 8 city buses a day. And I can't tell you how much I love to catch that city bus. I used to call it my limousine. I'm catching a bus to and from different job sites, working fiberglass installation. Shout out to my bro Jason for giving me an opportunity when nobody else would. 100 job applications, no exaggeration. 100 job applications. Couldn't get a job at Burger King. Couldn't get a job at Dunkin' Donuts. Couldn't get a job at any fucking fast food place. My bro gave me a job. Shout out to my bro. So imagine if you don't have people and you come out of a situation like that. And my resume was strong, y'all. I'm no chump. I'm no lazy slouch either. So it's tough. But to get back on topic, I'm in my limousine going job site to job site. I'm catching the city bus. I got my Skull Candy earbuds that I brought back from Fed. And I went from my little tiny little MP3 player that we eventually had in there to my Kyocera smartphone. It's 2015, y'all. I got locked up in 07. I came home in 2015. You do the math. I got my Kyocera, my first smartphone ever, in 2015. Got my jack with my Skull Candy earpods, and I'm listening to this beat that somebody sent me. And it's like one of those in the style of, I wish I could give the producer credit, I don't know, it was like in the style of J. Cole or something like that. So I'm writing to this beat, and the beat was firing, and it came to me. All I could think about is my big homie. I had just found out. So I'm vibing to this beat, and I'm writing down some thoughts, and then it hit me. Live struggle, live music. Pay attention to how we do it. And so my dog who never made it out. Live struggle, I got you, homie. We breaking out. And that was it. I knew it. I knew I had to do this for my bro. I wrote a couple verses. So then it kind of went on the back burner because I'm still at the halfway house. I can't make moves. So I go see Miss Joslin. I meet the family. And all I can think about is live struggle, live struggle. But now I'm thinking live struggle, legacy, right? At the time, it was just a song. Well, now let me take you to my bro, JJ. Shout out my bro, JJ. Horway. JJ hollered at me as soon as I hit the turf. He's like, yo, man, you know we got to do a coming home show. I've been making music with JJ since I was like 17, 18 years old. And he's like, yo, we're going to do this show. And when we went to meet to make the flyer for the show, he introduced me to one of the most talented people I've ever met in my life. The homie Shooter Chief. Shout out Shooter Chief. And Shooter Chief came to the crib with his creative mind. And he's like, yo, how are we going to do this flyer? Right? And then JJ's like, no, man, we're going to do it bigger than that. We're going to make you a documentary. I'm like, what? Okay, that's what's up. I can't tell you how that made me feel coming home to these blessings, to this love, to this support, right? So, but I'm thinking like, okay, where do I even start? Sure, I got a story. I got a wild story. I got a lot of stories. But where do I begin? And so we just started moving with the show. We had a lot of the homies from back in the day who are still doing music to this day. Shout out Chris Cage. Went back in the day, Dub B. We were making moves, still making moves to this day. So he blessed me with the show. Who else did the show? Shout out to the homie KD. Shout out Dangerous. Who else did the show? Ryan Kendrick blessed us with a fire song with JJ. So anyway, we documented the show, and I'm talking with Chief, and I'm like, and he's like, well, so where do you want to begin? And I'm like, listen, man, honestly, man, I can't stop thinking about my bro. I can't stop thinking about Big Baby. So Shooter Chief came over to help make the flyer. We did the show, which was incredible. Put some money in my pocket and everything. I can't thank JJ and Chief enough for showing that kind of love to me and all the homies who came out to support. Too many to name. If I didn't say your name, it ain't that I forgot about you. It's sensory overload. It's too many people to name right now. Just know I love y'all, and I appreciate every single one of you who showed me love when I came home. But back to Shooter Chief. He's like, so where you want to start with this documentary? And I was like, yo, listen, I need your help with something. And it's a little bit off the documentary, but really it's not. I need you to make me a logo. He's like, I got you. So I had this picture I was standing right next to Tim. I was standing right next to Big Baby in Yazoo City, and we were flicking it up. You know, in prison, you could buy the photo ticket, take pictures on the rec yard, and send them home to your people. Well, in this particular picture, Big Baby had these long dreads, and he's in his, government issue khakis, and he's got his dreads out like this. And I always loved that picture because it just solidified strength. You see this king standing in his power, holding his dreads in a place that was designed to keep us down and hold us back. Standing proud in that space, standing proud in his power. I'll never forget that image. So I said, yo, can you make me a logo out of this image? And this is what you see right now there. This is bro. This is the legacy. Live struggle legacy. It wasn't enough for me to just get out and make my own music. So what it started as was a documentary. But of course it couldn't be a documentary without music. So it's been a long time coming, y'all. But over the past 8 fucking years, I've been working on a mixtape and an album. In the meantime, life happens. I become a dad, in and out of jobs, COVID. It's life. And if you don't know, music costs money. It costs money to make music. If you're doing mixing, if you're doing mastering, if you're getting it right, and don't get me started on visuals and graphics, promotion, that's money. And if you don't know me, in my history, I went fed trying to fund my music career. That was my means to an end. I wasn't trying to be out in the streets. I was trying to make a dream come true. And I took shortcuts that landed me in Fed. And when I was locked up, I made a vow to never do that again, especially as a father, because that's number one, being a dad. I'm a dad now. But live struggle legacy don't stop. And the best thing that I could teach my son is that you never, ever let go of your dreams. So over these past 8 years, I've been getting features from people who were locked up with Tim and myself, who knew Tim personally and performed with us on the rec yard. But it's like herding kittens, y'all. Trying to get people in the same place at the same time to shoot videos, to get on songs, and they're all over the country. Some people catching new cases. You know what I mean? Some people fell off the drugs. It's like, it's life, man, but it's the live struggle. So what is live struggle? Live struggle is a creative movement. It's a collaborative effort, right? We take our stories and we transform them into relevant content to be shared with the world. Live struggle legacy is an elixir for change. We create a platform for artists to be able to tell their stories, transforming those personal struggles into relevant content. We ignite the flame. We ignite the spark that lights the flame of inspiration to be able to turn our dreams into reality. That's what Live Struggle Legacy is all about. So if you want to know more about Live Struggle Legacy, tap in. We got the website up. It's still under construction, but you can check it out, www.livestrugglelegacy.com. We got the Live Struggle mixtape that's built out of songs that we performed on the rec yard with Big Baby in the spirit of Tim. We got the Live Struggle Legacy album out. Again, songs that were crafted from the original music that we put out on the rec yard with Tim. And some new features, because not all the homies are there. Not all the homies showed up. No love lost, but we got homies that support the cause and came out to do features. So with this platform, we're sharing our stories. We're sharing our live struggle. I'm going to tell you a lot more about myself and what I got going on with my music. I haven't tapped into any solo projects because this is all about live struggle right now. Until we get this music out, until we get this brand out, this goes on and on. We're building pyramids, y'all. And if you want to get down with the cause, if you're an artist, you could be a musician. You could be a recording artist, a singer. You could be a poet, a painter. You could do dance. You could be a visual artist in terms of videography, graphics. If you want to share your story, holler at me. We'll provide the platform. And if you're looking for branding, fuck with me. We need sponsors. We need funding. So fuck with us. If you want to support, you could buy merch on the site, but you could support by simply just tapping in, hearing our story. And if you want, you can join us and share yours. So to wrap things up, what is life struggle? Well, what does it mean to you? What's your life struggle? And is it worth sharing your story? Because I think it is. So whatever you're doing, if you have a dream, stick with it. Don't quit. I'll support you. Support's a two-way street. So if you like what you see and you hear today and you want more, reciprocate the energy and effort that we're putting out. It's Live Struggle Legacy, y'all. We're building pyramids.
Live struggle legacy. It's a whole movement.